No One Likes Us Clothing is the clothing range designed by Millwall fans for Millwall fans. Caps, t-shirts, polos, they've got it all. Visit noonelikesus.co.uk for the full range. Or if you're in Bermondsey on a match day, why not have a pint in the Blue Anchor pub and pick up a Nolu polo shirt, Nolu clothing at www.noonelikesus.co.uk.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Bermondsey. Accept no substitute.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to a beautifully sunny Saturday afternoon here at the Den, South East London, with a visit of 4th place to Reading. 4th place, they've had 3 wins and 2 losses, so a decent start for Paul Ince's men from the Majeski Stadium on the M4. Decent looking crowd have assembled here this afternoon for their visit. Your Lions team this afternoon, dear listeners. Bart Bielkowski in goal. Some changes. We've got incoming Jake Cooper in defence, Sean Hutchinson and the Murray Wallace already in place. So Hutchinson, Cooper and Wallace across the back 3, Danny Mack, and maybe some might say surprisingly, who knows, Scott Malone on the left side. Midfield, return of Jamie Shackleton, Jules Saville, George Honeyman. Up front, great to see Tom Bradshaw back, starting alongside his good friend Benik Afobe. Lions obviously have had a moderate start, although we are sitting in 10th position and 7 points. Whether it's fair to call it moderate or decent, I don't know. Some of the performances have left something to be desired, and we've had some losses that could have been a lot better. So big home fixture this afternoon, dear listeners. Difficult day to get to the Den. There's been industrial action of various types. I've driven over today. A lot of people have made it in, and well done to them for making the journey up. Not an easy one this afternoon. As I say, brilliantly sunny day. It's lovely footballing weather, not too hot, not as hot as it has been in recent months. Reading geared up in a kind of like a pink outfit. I don't know what you call that. Peach and black. Millwall this afternoon in traditional dark blue and white. After that loss last week at Norwich City, I must admit I came away, well I didn't come away from it, I came away from my television set thinking we've got to make the maximum of our home form. And today's a big test in that way. Players are lining up in the centre circle for a minute's applause for the life of Bob Pearson. Great servant to the club, passed away recently. The belief of some members of Bob's family are in attendance this afternoon. There's a great round of applause all around the stage. It's going to be really heartening for them to see that. Loving memory of Bob Pearson on the screen. Really nice touch. Fantastic. Reading set to kick off. They're going to be attacking the Cold Blow Lane in accordance with Anglo-Saxon law since the era of the Venerable Bede, the great monastery of Lindisfarne, where he knocked out the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, amongst other things. He probably had a bit of a go at the Lindisfarne Gospels as well. I dare say that's the kind of guy he was. Old Beatty. Well, away we go. I was reading on The Athletic. I'm trying to name drop the amount of football reading that I do, listeners. On The Athletic, Bournemouth and then PSG developed a technique of attacking straight from kick-off. I think Mbappe scored straight from kick-off recently. It was developed apparently at Bournemouth, but we haven't done that, listeners. Or rather, Reading haven't done it because they're the ones who kicked off. Half the pitch illuminated by brilliant sunshine, the other half in the shadow of the West Stand. Flags fluttering gently in the breeze. Ever painted a a picture with words for your listeners. That's what I try to do in these little productions, a picture with words. This is an early ball into Beniofobe. This is Shackleton on the right side. It's going to go for corner, right side of corner. 1 minute in. Nice attack down the right side there by Millwall. In it comes, it's swinging away towards the centre. This ball is skimmed across the heads of, I think that was Murray Wallace, and this is now Jake Cook. He delicately sticks it back into the danger zone. The 8's now got it and will clear under pressure. Mill doing a good job of pressing early here, listeners. And Jake Cook with a good old long diagonal ball. When in doubt, that is going to be, dispossessed there by Scott Malone. He wins a throw-in. This is great to see, listeners. Early press, early pace. Ball in from Jules Saville, headed on target from Tom Bradshaw. Saved well by the goalkeeper, coming up to the 3rd minute. All action start by the Lions. I was trying to analyse why Paul Ince has always annoyed me as a manager. Ball in there from Shackleton, that's going to run clear. I mean, the obvious reasons being West Ham slag, Manchester United slag. Although he did do the dirty on West Ham, so that should have, endeared him to me somewhat. I think it was the bottle job that we saw in Euro 96, going back a long way for some of the younger listeners, when he didn't take a penalty in the shootout versus West Germany, in the semi-final. The so-called governor didn't have the bottle to come and take a penalty in that situation. I think ever since then I've detected slight sense of the fraudulent about him. Millwall started really well. It's moved down the right side, breaks down unfortunately, and Reading will get a chance to break long. There's the 9 chasing that down into the right side corner. It's Tom Ince, of course, his boy, working for his dad. We've all been there, Tom, when we started, leaving school. Not in my case. My dad wouldn't have employed me, not for anything of any practical use anyway. And building site work, was never my cup of tea. I've never been any good at it. You wouldn't employ me either, listeners. I make no bones about it. He didn't, and you wouldn't either. Saw quite a few hooped shirts walking down from Bermondsey Station. I think South Bermondsey is closed. There's in amongst all the industrial action. Booing is for Tom Ince, listeners, in case you're wondering. Reading coming down our left side. Shot from distance, that was into bodies, thankfully. Until 7 minutes. Who do you maintain grudges against, listeners? I suppose any Millwall fan has a litany of grudges, really. I'm interested. Actually, post on the Twitter feed. Let me know if there's any specific grudges. I don't know why. I've always had a grudge against Paul Ince. Who's your favourite grudge? Who do you nurture? Honeyman penalised again. The referee seems to have his eye on George Honeyman. There's going to be a free kick on the left side now, about halfway inside our half. It's going to be a chance to get a flighted cross into our penalty area. In it comes from the left side. It's headed on target. 1-0. Flick header on far post, headed in. 1-0 Reading. Poor defending again, listeners. Poor defending. That shouldn't have been. He had more freedom at the back post than I think he should have had. 14 minutes. They're not going to show the replay for fear of enraging the crowd, no doubt. It's a poor start, Millwall. Millwall immediately onto the front foot, down at the Reading end. This is Shackleton on the right side. He floats the ball in. Bradshaw goes down. Referee gives nothing. Wow. We're getting nothing out of this referee, listeners. Absolutely nothing. He's penalised Honeyman twice, debatably. I'm sure that'll be something that Gary Rowett mentions later on. And that looked like the Reading defender was all over Tom Bradshaw there. Nothing given. Big week ahead. We've got today's game, obviously, which is in play. We're losing it at the moment. We've got to travel up to Turf Moor on Tuesday night, and then the return of Steve Morrison and Marlon Romeo next Saturday with Cardiff. So the big 9 points at stake this week over the next 7-day period. We're ticking towards the quarter point of the first half. It's After a brightish start, obviously the goal has knocked the stuffing out of Mill. Reading have increased their pressure and possession as the first quarter's chugged along. We're struggling at the moment to impose any pattern of our own on the game. Andreas Vogelsammer will wonder what he's going to do to earn a start. I mean, the 2 cameo appearances we've seen from the German, I think he's looked really inventive, imaginative. I can't believe we won't see him at some stage this afternoon. I would have started him. Would you have started him? I would have done. One thing I think Ince has taught them is a grounding in the diabolic arts of football shithousery. I bet he's really injured after me slagging him off, this bloke. I've just taken my airplane mode off my phone whilst I'm using it to do the recording. And few posts from Harry. There's a popcorn stall outside which has induced online fury. It's like an ice cream and popcorn stall, which is the kind of thing that causes rage down at Den. Apparently 2 of the turnstiles weren't working at the Dockers side. They've got a picture of him queuing up with about 500,000 people. And now he's reckoned he's going to be calling Aaron's 606 show later, calling for Gary Rowett's head. It's time to go, says Harry. You're not getting us promoted, Rowett. What do you think, listeners? Do you think Gary Rowett's getting us promoted? I mean, obviously it's going to have to be by the playoff route if we are going to get promoted. Long way to go yet. Things that are bugging me so far this season, obviously we're a goal behind, we're on 27 minutes, with some extra injury time to be added to this half, but things that are bugging me about the season so far is we don't look defensively solid, which has been his shtick since joining us, Gary Rowett. We've always looked, if not imaginative going forwards, we've looked very solid defensively, and at the moment we keep giving goals away, listeners. So will that get us promoted? Well, a bit early in the season yet for me, but there is no smoke without fire, I suppose. I'm going to try and say that in a way that sounds very mystic and deep. I better put my airplane mode back on again before I get another bombardment of messages. Interfering with your aural pleasure. Here come Reading breaking forwards now. That's wayward pass. Ball out of defence. This is Honeyman now. 28 minutes. Mill's getting bogged down slightly, listeners. We're not finding space, and the ball seems to be sticking. Tyler Bury, Billy Mitch, and that Zian Fleming warming up. Then all of those will be players that I want to see. I want to see them playing, listeners. We're not showing much imagination as we tick towards half an hour, and I want to see the creative boys. I want to see the artists, the Ziegfeld Follies. I want to see the Showtime boys. I think if Gary Rowett was running a Ziegfeld Folly type show, he'd have them all very tightly dressed, no flamboyance to their dance routines. I don't know where I'm going with this idea. I might have to cut that bit out, listeners, because I had an idea and it didn't really work out as I was enunciating it. The Zampa Follies, maybe. It's chipped forwards from Scott Malone, deep. Headed on there by Jake Cooper. It's cleared from the penalty area. We'll do recover way back to Barbielkowski though, but we do have possession. Launches it straight back down like a Ukrainian drone aiming for a Russian warship. Something going on over in the Docker stand. What's going on? People calling for, looks like attention of some sort. I don't know what's. Stewards running over there. Someone had a medical emergency of some sort. I don't know. They're calling for attention. The game has stopped, listeners. The medical team running around there. I don't know what this is. Applause. So I'm guessing things are okay. The Mill medical team, incidentally, very, very good. As we said prior to the break, I know things like that kind of put a perspective on matters, don't they? But back to the football. That's what we're here. It's not been a great performance by Millwall. We've not created any chances in front of goal. We've not even looked remotely like we will. We've had possession, but it doesn't seem to have gone anywhere. This is our George Honeyman. The final pass again into a pink shirt, and there's been a lot of that this half. Chipped forward from Murray Wallace, and Tom Bradshaw goes down. It looked like it went down softly to me. The referee says no. I must admit that did look like a soft one. If we'd have got it, great, but he felt some contact there and went down. What we don't want to do is concede another one. This is Reading pressing forwards now with 2 minutes of added time, passing the ball around. Not sure either team has looked particularly dangerous. We switched off for the Reading goal, but they haven't really looked anything major. They had a brief little bit of possession prior to the goal and then just afterwards, but they've not looked dangerous in front of goal. We just haven't kick-started, listeners. And I'm not sure this team at the moment, this formation, this team, whatever you want, not sure there's enough imagination out there at the minute to unlock a fairly tightly packed Reading side. Based on what we're seeing in this half, you've got to be thinking in terms of Vogelsammer at the half, Fleming, if not now, then when. Keep giving them 20 minutes is not using their talents enough, in my opinion. Certainly this 11 that started the game don't look like they've got enough about them to claw their way into the game at the minute. Listen, it's the ball down into the corner flag from Malone to Chase. No, too long, unfortunately. It's gone for a goal kick. There's the last action of the first half. There's the reaction, listeners. Rightly so. That was a poor half by Millwall. We need more imagination. We need to change things. There are some obvious candidates sitting on the bench. And if we don't bring them on in this situation, then I don't know when they're going to be able to make a mark in this side. Anyway, there it is at the half. Millwall 0, Reading 1.
Achtung, Millwall.
Well, away we go, listeners, for the second half. I've just been discussing the shortcomings of Millwall in that first half. Basically no service for the strikers. They've not looked great, but then they've not had any service whatsoever coming forwards. Sloppy goal yet again to concede, and no imagination from midfield. So apart from that, it's been good. No changes at the break. Questioning the decision making of Gary Rowett there, really, aren't we? I mean, I don't know. I can't believe he can see that starting 11 at the end of the first half and think there's going to be goals in this side. It's we need to change it. We need to freshen things up, as the football saying goes. But anyway, there we go. You might think this is a podcast. It's actually more like psychotherapy for me, listeners. It's like me laying on the psychiatrist's couch and pouring out my innermost thoughts to you. And you don't pay for it, but I suppose you pay for it in the sense you've had to listen to an advert. But you absorb my angst. All very Freudian. I haven't seen any popcorn knocking around, listeners. I don't know how well they've done the popcorn stall outside. Starburst are doing big trade, I see just down in front of me, and looks like an incinerated nuclear pie. No sign of any popcorn. I treated myself to a bottle of water, £2 for a bottle of water. It says it's going to Water Aid, so I'm consoling myself for the cost of the water, the fact that I've done some good for someone somewhere across this blighted planet. But I've got this fear I'm going to kick it over because you don't get a top with it, obviously. Anyway, enough of that. Free kick in from the right. George Honeyman headed back across the goal. Goalkeeper takes it. So I'm trying to manoeuvre it around the bird shit, listeners, so I don't contaminate my own water supply. It would be ironic indeed if my Water Aid benefit water poison me rather than the poor sap somewhere else in this world who's trying to have his life turned around by their charitable endeavours. Ball breaks down midfield. So this is a little 1-2. This is Shackleton on the right side of the Reading penalty. Ball will across the goal into the D. No one there. 51 minutes. Opprobrium around the Den. Reading coming forwards now. 10-0, 1-2, so it should be 2-0. A fantastic save by Bart Bielkowski. It should have been 2-0. Good night, Vienna. That forward for Reading, the 8, will be cursing himself. We're looking very second best there. Bennett concedes a silly free kick, barged in very obvious. I could see it from the other end of the den. The referee gives a free kick to Reading. Lions dodge a bullet. Incidentally, a miracle save by Bart Bielkowski. He pulls those out like you and I might change our shirt each day, listeners. You do change your shirt each day, listener, don't you? You do, good. Reading sitting back behind the ball, looking to hit us on the break. We're having to press forwards. Not sure it's our strongest suit, but that's what we've got to do. Gary Rowett doing his nut down there at the referee. Absolutely screaming out the fourth official. Vogelsammer coming in for Scott Malone. He's looked really good every time we've seen him in the away games we've seen him so far. Looks like Fleming's coming in, listeners. Bury's coming in for Honeyman. Looks like that's Zian Fleming down there. Who's he coming in for? Tom Bradshaw's coming out. Crowd not happy with that one. Disagree with that one. 57 minutes. Stirrings of some discontent around the den, listeners. You would have heard the disagreement with the substitution of Tom Bradshaw there. This has been a poor performance so far. Obviously, there's with Bury, Fleming and now Vogelsammer, we've changed it, and that's all you can ask. We do need to start working some more creative chances going forwards. There's been nothing at all in this game so far from the Millwall perspective. This is Bury now on the left side. First chance we've had to see. Tyler goes past his man like a knife goes past butter into the penalty area. Can he get the ball back? It's just overrun there. Unlucky there. First attacking run of the game, listeners. 64 minutes in. Bury supplies it. Just over touched it as he was going past his man. But the way he went past that defender was beautiful. Fleming wins a free kick there. He appealed to the referee's sense of decency and got it after a pause. This right-sided free kick halfway inside the Reading half. He's going to take in a floated cross instead. It's deep, headed on target. Who was that? Jay Cooper! Whoa! Disallowed it. Oh, my God's sakes. What's he give there? They won't show it, so I'm going to guess pushing or some such. Disallowed, listeners. Ball breaks. Tyler Bury now on the left side. 73 minutes. He's played it down the line towards Zian Fleming, who tucks inside. He's pursued his man well there and got on the end of the ball. They've done really well there. They do clear it, but that kind of persistence is what the Den wants to see. All around, the applause all around the Den for that. It's something to behold. He's actually forced a Millwall throw-in. How about that? That was from a dead situation. That would endear him no end to the patrons of the Den, I can tell you that much. Well, Greg spotting a phobia now in the centre circle. He's got one man in front of him. He's got Bury overlapping him. He's gone through. Looks like it was handballed as he shot. Nothing's going to be given. He should have played it through to Bury. This is Vogelsammer with an angled cross there from the right side. No one in there. 78 minutes. Chance of a phobia there. He ran it into trouble, really. Hint of handball. You're not going to get much out of this referee this afternoon, listeners. Bennett Afobe trying to twist and turn up front now. He seems a bit more switched on suddenly. Not been a great game for Bennett. I do acknowledge he hasn't had much service until the introduction of the more creative players. It's a lovely play there by Murray Wallace. Took and turned the ball. He's found Bury now on the left side. 79 minutes. What can Bury do? He's had to check. This is Murray. Gets a deep cross into the middle, and that goalkeeper with in the 1930s that would have been a fair shoulder charge, but nowadays that's a free kick. There's Murray Wallace again. Now he's got Tyler down the left side. Can he find him? He gets body check, which was good because Tyler lifted it past his last defender, but it was way in front. He wouldn't have got anywhere near it and managed to get a foul out of it. So it's going to be a left-sided free kick. Intelligent play by Tyler Bury. I think he's going to be a star of the future, and a yellow card for the man. Star of the future, listeners. You hear it here first. Probably not for us, of course. We might have to sell him, but there we are. Left-sided free kick, 81, come towards 82 minutes. Flighted free kick there. That was Saville. It's locked back in the middle. Bodies flying. Howes for a penalty, not given. Vogelsam are trying to be clever. The ball's released. This should be 2-0. He's put it wide. Oh my word! My Gideon. Ball broke. There had two Reading players gone on for the ball. Bart came out, committed himself, and the man had to just tap it into the net, put it wide. Wow. Now we have another injury. So many statistics in the game now. I wonder how many statistics cover strategic injuries. 82 showing on the stadium clock. There will be a pause whilst this man has open heart surgery done on him. George Evans has come in for Jamie Shackleton. 84 minutes. I don't know how much added time we're going to get. There should be an extensive amount, listeners, like we had at the end of the first half. They've done a good job of taking the sting out of the game with these injuries, Reading. I must give them that much. 7 minutes of added time. I'm going to try and predict what Gary Rowett's post-match press conference will be about. He'll probably look at the disallowed goal. He'll probably want to talk about a couple of penalty moments that shouts that we've had. Launched forward now from Shane Hutchinson. Jake got involved. It's bouncing around. It's going to go for a Millwall throw-in. I think you've got to look at the opening 60 minutes odd till the substitutions when we've kind of let that 2/3 of the game go past us, where we look very flat and unimaginative. Poor defending. We can maybe talk about that as well for their goal. Ball into the box. It's Vogelsam tries to clip it. Mill's still in possession. This is Danny McNabb. Can he get the ball into the middle? Bounces around. He's bobbing around. Arms and legs, everyone. His shot in the end is blocked. Could have got anywhere. Runs through to the goal. I think that's going to be it, listeners. So yeah, I think we've got to look at our own failings. There it is, final whistle. Reading will see that as a 3 points won. They've a bit of a siege once our attacking flair players came into it, but Millwall must really be taking a hard look at themselves because we've let that game go quite cheaply, in my opinion. There we are. It finishes Millwall 0, Reading 1.
Hi Nick, John Rankin, just calling in with the match report as I saw it after the home defeat against Reading, 0-1. Well, the highlight of the day for me was meeting my co-contributor to the programme, to the podcast rather, Matt Richards, before the game. Lovely to meet you, Matt. And also having a breakfast with my son. Listen, you said on your previous podcast with Neil, you spoke about referees and the VAR. Well, I'm not going to blame the referee, but we had a perfectly good goal disallowed and 2 or 3 penalties, and the free kick which referee awarded wasn't a free kick. Jamie Shackleton got kicked up in the air, but for some reason the referee decided it was a Reading free kick, and that led to the first goal. However, that's no excuse for what I think was a very strange day at the Den. I'm not going to blame the players. I feel sorry for Benakafobe up front with the setup that Rowett has picked. When I saw Reading come out on the pitch, they had 4 or 5 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" players, including their defenders, and I think maybe a couple of midfielders, maybe even a centre forward. And I thought, well, looking at the size of our squad, Jamie Shackleton, George Honeyman, two very not the tallest of men. George Saville, not the tallest of men. Zian Fleming, he's 6 foot, no more than that. Vogel Slemmer. You know, we haven't got a tall team apart from Jake Cooper. He's the only tall guy we've got. Sean Hutchinson is what, 6'1". So what did Millwall proceed to do? They spent most of their time attacking through the medium of high balls played up to a variety of people who immediately had, you know, a 5 or 6 inch disadvantage against these gigantic players that Reading had. So that's the manager's fault, because he's the one who dictates the tactics. He's the one that briefs the players and tells them the type of game they should be playing. And I think he got it completely wrong. Also, his choice of personnel as well was poor. You know, Vogel, Slammer, Fleming and Bury. You got to try those 3 up front. We miss Ryan Leonard. Jake Cooper looks a little bit better. He's getting his confidence back. Our midfield, well, I mean, what's Billy Mitchell done to be dropped in front of John Shackleton? I don't know. Poor first half. It was just abysmal, really. And the second half, yeah, it was a typical Millwall performance, but again, we only attacked through chaos, really, through, you know, high, hopeful balls. And all in all, I think Reading just played it out, and they sucked it up, really, and couldn't believe what a Christmas present they were giving at the Den. The goal we conceded was very sloppy, poorly defended. Kind of knew it was coming, really, I've got to say. And Reading just shut up shop and were happy to head out of danger all the high balls that our defenders pumped up into either the midfield or, you know, in and around the penalty box. I mean, there is a case for high balls, and that's from set pieces. But apart from that, with the players we sent out there, surely we should have been playing it to feet. So there you are. Not a very good day at the Den. I think Gary Rowett, you know, it's up to you now, son. You've had money, you've got the players, you've got to organise them, and you've got to coach them. And let's see what spin he puts on this. I did notice that he spent most of the second half berating the 4th official, and that's a bad sign, because you've got to play to the whistle in football, and if you get a ref that's against you, you've got to take it on the chin and beat the side anyway. And I think we're in the world of excusitis at the moment with Mr. Rowett. So anyway, cheers for now. Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, it's Angelo here, mate. I was going to wait till tomorrow, but I'm just so angry. I want to get my frustrations out sharpish. Yeah, I've seen a few like comments on Twitter. I've seen like the Rowett interview, a couple of the Millwall fan things and whatever. Yeah, and there's a lot of people blaming a phobia and blah blah blah. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but I think the problem is staring us in the face is Honeyman in that number 10 position. I honestly believe the last 2 games, the guy has been atrocious, yeah? His job in a number 10 role is to link the midfield to the strikers, yeah, and create stuff. He hasn't done anything in the last 2 games, and I can't handle it anymore, mate. I can't see how people can't see it. He has assisted 1 goal since he's been in our team, which was the corner for Cresswell against Stoke, yeah? We have to get Honeyman out of that number 10 role immediately, in my opinion, yeah? He has to drop back to a proper midfield role because he's tenacious, he snaps at people's ankles and stuff like that. He is not a number 10, mate. And, you know, our strikers, yeah, they're feeding on scraps, yeah, because we're just not creating anything. And I'm so frustrated about it because, in my eyes, I think that's plainly obvious where our problem is. We have to put Fleming in there, Bury in there, or Saville in there. No other player. I would have put Leonard in there, but I hear that he's out for 2 months now. He's torn his hamstring in training, which is so sad because he was probably our best player. But yeah, I'm so angry, mate. You know, just creating absolute diddly squat at home in front of a big crowd against a team that was they're not going to stay up there. They're useless, mate. Reading will not stay up there. Yeah, we should have put them. You know, we should be smashing teams like Reading. And I pray that Rowett sees that Honeyman is not a number 10, mate. He's just not a number 10. And I strongly believe that is where our main issue is at the moment. But listen, you know, it's just my opinion, but it's a very strong opinion from me. So very disappointing. That's all I wanted to say, Nick, really. That is where I believe our issues lie, is in that number 10 role, mate. Okay, let's hope for a miracle on Tuesday. Come on, you Lions.
Well, a disappointing afternoon at the Den. Just, again, we can't defend, can we? Thought the team selection was wrong, was proved right in the first half. We've got no width when you don't play Tyler Bury, so we're playing a team with no wingers. Our wing-backs are our weakest link, which we've discussed on the show, and we're asking them to do a job they can't do. To give away the goal from a set-piece again, we've given away another goal away from a set-piece. It's just not good enough, is it? You know, Gary Rowett's supposed to be a defensive manager, and his team can't defend at the moment, which means we're basically based on getting clean sheets and nicking 1 or 2 goals at most. And at the moment, the way Millwall can see goals, we'd have to score 2 or 3 every game for the rest of the season to get any wins, and we're not going to do that. So, you know, our game away Tuesday night, he makes changes at half time. He don't even make changes at half time. That's the point. Everyone in the Den could see that he needed to make changes. He waits another 10 minutes after, or 8 minutes after the half, and then we move on to, you know, the elephant in the room that is Benicophobe. The bloke cannot get dropped, cannot get substituted by Gary Rowett this season. Yeah, he scored a goal, it was offside, but that's all from a knockdown. There's no real skill involved in that. It's just hitting. He didn't throw a leg at it from where I was sitting, and it was disallowed anyway. But we're just not good enough. It's just not good enough for the management. It's not good enough for the players. This is supposed to be the year that we kick on and attempt to get in the playoffs, and all I'm seeing is regression. We're not progressing in any way, shape or form. We can't keep clean sheets. When you bring Fleming, Bury and Vlogslammer on, all right, the German didn't do a lot today, but I think you shouldn't be playing him out wide right. He's a centre forward. You know, Fleming's come on, he's playing in his position, and Bury just is the only one with an idea going forward and brings you something different. And it's chalk and cheese. If you'd played like that from the beginning, you wouldn't have lost that game probably. So, you know, you got to call out the manager when they get it wrong, and he got it wrong today. You know, he can do wrong, and people seemingly, hopefully, wake up to realise that he is based on us not conceding goals and nicking the odd goal here and there. And at the moment, his teams can't keep a clean sheet for love nor money. So it's not good enough, and things need to change really.
Hello, Nick. It's Matt Richards here calling in. Walking back after that game, I just don't know what to say really. It's just, I mean, I've been through some frustrating games, but I can't think of them anymore at the moment. I mean, it's just so, I mean, we can blame the ref for being just shit and not giving us stuff and blowing up for, and they're falling over all over the place, but they've just done the job on us, and that's what Reading came for. You know, give them a simple, easy early goal. You know, we've lost 2 headers in the box, and it's in the back of the net, and then they just sat back. I mean, the first half was just awful. We've seen it so many times before, haven't we? Just backwards and forwards, too slow, nothing through the middle, just trying to go down the sides, but only getting so far, but they're not getting anywhere. I mean, I think we had 1 header in the first half, first 5 minutes, and that was it. So first half was absolutely shit. So you've got to change it. Never makes a change at half time, because he just doesn't do that. So we have to wait and make changes, and it made a difference. The second halves are always a bit more open anyway, so you know, we're probably huffed and puffed, but there seems to be no kind of was no fluidity or anything. It was just long balls and hoping something's going to drop more than any kind of plan or strategy or anything like that. Goal disallowed. I guess someone's offside. May have got a touch, but it's just a shit performance, and it's you got to blame the manager for the team you put out first of all. You got Phobie there, Bradshaw playing it safe. You got Bury. You got to play him. You got to have a bit of flair there. You try Fleming. And Vogelsammer. But anyway, it was for my first game this season. Actually at the Den. I thought I'll go back on holiday. Anyway, cheers, Nick. Come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. Hello, listeners. Ben Anthony here. Oh, well, it's hard to know where to start after that today. That was about as bad as it gets, wasn't it? It felt like today we set up so defensively. That starting 11 looked too defensive for me, and that was how it played out. It felt very similar to the Norwich game in a way. Against Norwich, it sort of felt like Rowett thought they were too good for us, so we'll set up defensively and try and nick a 1-0 on the counter-attack, but otherwise try and keep it 0-0. And as soon as we conceded, there was almost a panicked feeling of, well, what do we do now? And today, it was a very similar story. It looked like we'd set up purely just to try and keep some kind of a clean sheet and hope that we can get something with the two strikers up front, even though we can't deliver a ball because we've got no creativity in midfield. So yeah, I don't really get it. It's confusing to me because on one hand I understand the playing defensively because we've been leaking goals, but on the other hand I think the only way you're going to stop all of these chances against our defence is if we've got the ball up the other end. So for me, we need to play some of our more creative attacking players. If you can see the difference on the hour mark when he brought the subs on, and we looked a little bit more attacking, but by then it was all a bit too late, and the game was being broken up by, a bit of Reading game management, shall we say, and a little bit of the referee just blowing up for anything. But so it was all too late. We need to be going at teams in the first half from the start, and we don't do that for some reason. So, yeah, I think there needs to be a bit of a change. For me, it needs to be a change of formation, and I think we need another attacking body either in midfield or up front. Yeah, we just need to see a little bit more of just actually turning up for games, particularly in the first half. If you don't turn up and you don't put in any effort until an hour in, you get what you deserve. And today, for me, we got what we deserved. So it's all a bit frustrating, but I do feel like there's a team there. I feel like there's something, and we just haven't found a starting 11 and a formation and that works for us yet. So we have to keep the faith and hope we get something on Tuesday. If not, I think it might be a bit of a tense atmosphere next Saturday. Anyway, come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
So huge thank you to all of our voicemail contributors. Let me know, listeners, if you want to contribute to the show. Get in touch via Twitter. You can email us. Some of you might even have my phone number already. Always welcome any voicemails, post-match voicemails. Always good to hear from people. Yesterday was a very, very poor show. Obviously, I'm recording this on a Sunday morning, just editing the final cut for the podcast to go out. Trying to assess what we saw yesterday. I think it's the shapelessness and the lack of ability to impose ourselves on the game that's really bothering me at the moment. It takes me to question Gary Rowett. Let's be honest, there were rumbles around the Den. You would have heard it in the live footage that I recorded yesterday. I'm not the only one. You go online, there's loads. I'm not going to pick and choose. We just had the voicemails. Everyone is saying similar things, that this is an expensively assembled squad by Millwall standards. Okay, it's not expensive compared with the rest of the madhouse that is the Championship, but it is by Millwall standards. It's come for money, and there are some good players in our squad, and for reasons that are starting to baffle me, we are not being organised well. We're not playing maybe a formation that exploits our best players well. I think it was Angelo in the voicemails made the point about Benik Afobe. Had no service yesterday. We're not playing well towards Benik Afobe. We know he's a good player. We know he scores goals. We've seen it last season, but he scores goals when the balls are put through behind defenders for him to run onto. That's his strong point. We're using him as a kind of battering ram style striker, which is not going to suit him. It was harsh on Tom Bradshaw, incidentally, to come out and then reacted. I do worry and, wonder that Gary Rowett's clock has started running, the old countdown ticker that you get, because when there's that amount of dispute within the football stadium, as a general rule, the manager is on notice. Now, he has dodged previous cases of dissent. I was at Peterborough. Was it last season? It seems like an age ago, where the home fans, the Millwall fans, were starting to chant, "Gary Rowett, your football is shit." We all remember that. And he's managed to pull results out of the hat. He's got a big week ahead. If he's going to pull one out of the hat, got to go to Turf Moor on Tuesday night. Burnley won 5-1 yesterday at Wigan. They're looking like a team that certainly is the media's choice for promotion, with Vincent Kompany, Manchester City and Belgium, glamour manager. And, on the back of one of the more disappointing showings of the season yesterday, we've got to go up there and get something. It's going to be an intriguing Tuesday night. We'll see. Speaking to Richard Corley of News at Den yesterday, it was the usual Gary Rowett press conference, and I think this bothers me as well. We're not really... I do wonder whether he's got the imagination, listeners, to actually solve this conundrum that's in front of us. But he spoke to the press yesterday, mentioned the early pressure, which, yes, there was early pressure, which we didn't produce anything. And he makes the point that you can't keep coming back and finding solutions in games when you're behind. No, you can't, Gary. You can't, mate. We scored the first goal only in the Stoke game in 6 league games. Problem. And 1 cup game. Forgetting about the League Cup exit. This is the bit that bothers me. He says to Richard and the assembled men of the press, gentlemen of the press, yesterday in the press room, "I nearly changed it at half-time, but our home form has been really good, and there was no real need for massive change." Yes, there was, Gary. Yes, there was, mate. It was a very poor first half. I make no claims to be any kind of football expert or pundit, but, if there were plenty around me, you don't even have to listen to my views on the matter, there were plenty around me saying that we needed to change it at half-time. We needed to bring in the creatives, the Tylers, the Vogelsammers, the Zian Flemings, and so on and so forth. And he makes he then goes on to make the same point. We were a lot more creative and got better once the free players came in. Yeah, well, they need time to do that. But anyway, there we are. I'm starting to repeat ourselves. Huge week ahead, listeners. Where will this week finish? Don't know. A win on Tuesday will take some of the pressure off of Gary Rowett. Big ask up there at Burnley, midweek away trip. He has had a track record of pulling these rabbits out of the hat in the past. My only question at the moment is whether the squad believe in him, because it's that classic thing that when you lose a dressing room, your time is up. Don't want to be talking like this either. I actually wanted this to be a successful season. It can still be a successful season. He's assembled a decent squad. But tactically and motivationally, if that's a word, at the moment, it ain't working. And Gary Rowett will be paid well to find a way for it to work, or the Dockland Light Railway will run him back to Liverpool Street and on to points towards the East Midlands. We'll see. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. Not going to do a Monday show tomorrow. It's Bank Holiday Monday tomorrow. I'm going to get myself along to a non-league game. So we'll be back probably in the aftermath of the Burnley trip on Tuesday. So until the next show, thank you for listening, really appreciate it. Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.